So, first of all, I'd just like to introduce myself. I'm Tom Ritchie. I'm Product Marketing Manager for the UKI, and we're here today to talk about making tax digital. So joining me is Chris Downing. Chris has recently joined us, having been a practicing accountant for many years. Chris, could you just tell us a bit about your experience and what you're doing with us now at Sage?
Yeah, thanks, Tom. Yeah, I've been at Sage for nearly 3 months. Prior to that, I spent 19 years in an accounting firm, top 100 firm, but actually grew with the firm over my period there. Part of my role is actually just working with businesses, but also working with accountants, other accountants from other practices, and therefore it's all about going through the pains of legislation changes. But I was very much focused on actually how can we make businesses more efficient by using technology. And when we're looking at making tax digital and how HMRC are bringing along and bringing legislation which is actually going to affect an awful lot of businesses, we don't like change, but actually what we need to do is actually make change easier to consume, but also provide businesses options. So hopefully by bringing my, let's say, accounting experience, not in terms of working with accountants, but also businesses, and working with Sage as well, hopefully we'll have an experience which actually isn't going to be too painful over the next couple of years.
That's great. Thank you very much, Chris. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the agenda for the session today. So we're here today to talk about making tax digital. In this webinar, we'll cover what is making tax digital, so we'll give an overview of what making tax digital actually is, how Sage Business Cloud Solutions will support you, and we'll cover what the Sage Business Cloud is, and how it'll support you with making tax digital as well, and we'll clear up some of those cloud and cloud connected questions that we get. We'll give some key advice on how to prepare. We'll talk about working with your accountant, what they should be supporting you with, and this is where Chris will really be able to support us with his experience. We'll talk about how Sage can support you with your readiness program, so getting ready for MTD, there might be a bit for you to do. And then we'll move on and we'll answer some questions at the end. So as I said, if you can just please type them into the QA as we go through. What we'll do is we'll, as long as time allows, we'll go through and try and answer as many questions as we can at the end of the session. Okay, so first of all, what is making tax digital? So making tax digital is a program that will affect every accountant, bookkeeper, and all UK businesses, as well as many individuals over the next 5 years. Chris, could you just talk us through why HMRC have introduced making tax digital? Hello, Chris?
There we go. Press the wrong button. And that's technology for you. No, in a nutshell, what HMRC and the government are basically trying to do is make lives easier for individuals and businesses to get their tax right. Because from the experience of the accountant side is the fact that an awful lot of time is consumed actually just fixing errors, quite simple errors. And if we can be in a situation whereby information or data or transactions which form part of the business records are recorded accurately and maintained in a system which is auditable, surely that's going to reduce errors. And reducing errors is for the benefit of everyone, because it is amazing how much tax or how much too much tax people and businesses are paying, because maybe there have been duplicated entries, things have been posted late. And really, what HMRC are looking for is the benefits going forward. And what making tax digital at the moment, the first phase is all around the VAT side, because most businesses who are maintaining VAT records are in some shape or form already maintaining them in some sort of digital format, whether that's Excel or a hybrid of Excel and a piece of software. So it's all about trying to make life a little bit easier for the business going forward.
Perfect, thank you. So MTD starts with VAT, and that's what we're really going to focus on today. An MTD for VAT means that in April 2019, VAT-registered businesses with a taxable turnover above the VAT threshold will need to submit VAT returns digitally. This means you'll no longer be able to log on to HMRC's gateway and type it in manually, and there's a vast majority of businesses actually do that today. So there's going to be a change there. And what HMRC have said is that VAT returns will need to be filed via functional compatible software. Chris, could you just explain what functional compatible software is and what it means to businesses who need to submit?
Well, functional compatible software is defined as a program or a set of programs. So this could be a series of business software which you use as a business. So you can have a sales invoicing module or another set of records which are effectively joined together. And when I mean joined is the data is auditable. You can effectively track one transaction to another. And by its very nature, something which is joined up electronically will actually create a greater experience, an improved experience in terms of making sure the data is correct. So once you've got that data together in one pot, you then need to be able to share that information with HMRC, and which will then form part of their electronic records. But at the same time, these records which you're delivering to HMRC also needs the ability to actually push back information back to the accounting software. So when we're looking at the submission of a VAT return, we're looking at the submission of information to HMRC, but also HMRC able to push back to you as the business owner, one basis saying they confirmed they received the VAT return, confirming that actually the records are good, but also making sure that you've had the right tick box in the validation routes as well. So it's all about being able to join up information through various APIs, and which is basically application program interface, and which also enables the effectively easy transfer of digital records from one system to another. And I think the key thing here is you're not sharing all information with HMRC. You're effectively only sharing the 9 box values which you're used to sharing in your VAT return. So you're not delivering the detailed transactions. It is still the high level information which you're used to sharing.
Great, thanks for that, Chris. And just a quick question around what will actually happen if you don't submit this way from April. Could you just explain about there's a penalty system, how that's going to work?
Yeah, that's right. We're all aware that if we submit our VAT returns late, there'll be a fine. It could be based on a percentage basis on how much tax you haven't paid. But in fact, what HMRC are trying to introduce is a penalty point system. And it all comes down to the fact that you will no longer be able to file your VAT returns through the current portal. It needs to be through software. And if you do not file your return through the software, you'll effectively get a 1 point for every failure. And therefore, over quarterly submissions, you could get up to 4 points. And the trouble is, though no detail has been actually delivered yet in terms of what these fines will relate to, they will certainly be escalation. But by being correct and submitting returns on time, if you have actually submitted 3 returns late, these will be cancelled over a 4-period return. So the whole point is it's penalty point basis. It's not necessarily a percentage of VAT not correctly submitted, but the key thing is actually to submit returns on time like we've always done so in the past.
Fantastic. Thanks for clearing that up. Okay, so let's have a look at the actual MTD timeline. From April 2018, HMRC kicked off their closed pilot. And Sage are participating in the closed pilot at the moment. We actually have customers actively submitting under the new MTD legislation now. And basically, the closed pilot is HMRC's test period. So there'll be software providers participating in this closed pilot, and we are basically testing to make sure that everything's going to work and everything's going to be fine. What will happen is then in autumn 2018, HMRC plan to go into open pilot. And what this means is that all customers, accountants and bookkeepers, can start doing MTD on a voluntary basis. So basically, you will follow the process that they released to make the switch to MTD, and you can start doing this early. And this is what we'd recommend. So you'll have a period of time between autumn and April 2019 where you can start onboarding. And our recommendation is that you have a look and do it early so that you're not leaving it until the last minute. Because from April 2019, this is when mandation will begin. And this means that you need to start filing those VAT returns through software. And then from April 2020, this is when other taxes come into play. So HMRC have also already advised us that income tax and corporation tax are going to be part of MTD. It's a 5-year program designed to digitise all tax. Chris, could you just give us a quick overview on the other taxes?
Yeah, making tax digital has been around as a new operation by HMRC for a couple of years now. And quite scarily, last July 2017, the timetable was effectively, as of April just gone, we could have been in a situation that not only would VAT be mandated to be part of, let's say, a digital record, but if you were an income taxpayer or under a corporation tax regime, the timescale was far more aggressive in terms of the onboarding process. So really, thankfully, there was a change in heart in terms of the importance of making tax digital and also the changes which businesses have to adopt. So when we're looking at the other taxes which we need to be mindful of, when it comes to corporation tax, in terms of making sure we have digital records forming the values, this won't be mandated not at least until 2020. So we have a bit of breathing space. And at least then it'll be for businesses with a turnover of more than £85,000. And then when it comes to income tax, so these are individuals, sole traders and partnerships. If your turnover is more than £85,000, i.e. you may not be VAT registered because of the nature of the trade you are, but if you're over that threshold, you will not be mandated for actually reporting any values in terms of income, costs and profits, not until at least 2020. And for those individuals with trade of below than £10,000 of income, so these could be businesses or actually individuals who have some buy-to-let income, so they have a second property and they're renting out. Thankfully, there's been no actual start date yet. So actually, for the time being, at least for another couple of years, there will be no requirement for those sort of businesses to be keeping digital records. So for the time being, it's all about VAT. If you're a VAT registered business, you need to start keeping your records in a digital format. Corporation tax, income tax, we have a couple of years to play with it so far.
That's perfect. Thank you, Chris. So let's talk about Sage Business Cloud. Now, first things first, to clear it up, all Sage Business Cloud software will be MTD ready and has the functionality included at no additional cost. So what is the Sage Business Cloud? So the Sage Business Cloud is a suite of software designed to support businesses of any size, streamline process, reduce admin, and grow their business through the utilization of technology and unlocking the power of the cloud. Now, Sage is in a unique position where we offer a range of solutions, so we won't try and push your business into our one solution. We have a range of solutions from small businesses up to enterprise level businesses, so we are able to talk to you about your business and what solution suits you best. Now, Sage Business Cloud offers native cloud and cloud connected software, which gives you a choice. And what we're going to do now is look at the Sage Business Cloud options and clear up that what is cloud connected versus what is native cloud. So let's start off with native cloud. So basically, native cloud means that you don't actually install software on your machine. It's run through your browser, so you can run it on any device. You just need an internet connection, a web browser, and you'll be able to connect in and utilize our native cloud software. Sage Business Cloud Accounting is one of our native cloud softwares, and you might know this as Sage 1. So we've recently gone through a rebrand and some name changing. This is what was formerly Sage 1. And Sage Business Cloud Accounting is perfect for businesses starting to use accounting software due to its ease of use, but it still offers really rich functionality. And it can save both time and money. It also offers easy collaboration with accountants through Partner Edition, so your accountant can connect in as long as you've given them permission to. They can connect in and work really closely with you through some great interface which shares control of that. It's a great option for smaller businesses or businesses that are starting up, but it still has that rich functionality for them. So then we've got Sage Business Cloud Financials, and this was formerly known as Sage Live. So Business Cloud Financials is a powerful cloud accounting solution. It's built on the Salesforce platform, and it's for businesses who need powerful accounting, robust analytics, and accurate reporting, and it offers the ability to bespoke the experience depending on your business, so you can kind of make this and enable functionality to match your business need. It's an fully online solution because it's one of our native cloud options, and it's aimed at medium-sized business. So if accounting doesn't give you the functionality that you need and you've kind of outgrown that, then it might be a case that Sage Business Cloud Financials is the option that you would want to look at if you want a native cloud solution. So let's talk about cloud connected. So cloud connected means that you install software onto your machine, but it can be connected to the cloud should you want to benefit from the additional features unlocked within the cloud, such as Office 365 functionality or the ability to use our integrated apps. Solutions that are cloud connected solutions are Sage 50 Cloud. So Sage 50 Cloud is the desktop software that many of you will currently use, but with the ability to connect to the cloud through Office 365. It means you'll have the opportunity to be more mobile. And for an example of that is using our Capture app to enter transactions on your mobile device when on the go. So you're not, it's desktop software, but you can be mobile. You can use our apps and you can have that connection through 365. We've got a range of 365 apps and functionality, such as cloud backup. You can use if that suits your needs, but you still have the power of that core Sage 50 desktop software. So it's not too much of a change. What we're doing is enabling your software through the cloud. And then we've got Sage 200 Cloud. So 200 Cloud is a complete, trusted and reliable solution which combines the power and productivity of the core Sage 200 desktop software with the freedom and control of smart, secure cloud mobile access. An example would be the contact app that we have in 200 that gives you a view of all your customer details through your mobile device, including account balances, recent transactions, notes you've made on them. So perfect for if you're out visiting a client and you want to have a look at their account information before you go into that meeting. So cloud connected means that we use the cloud to offer additional functionality to support your business, but the core software is the desktop software that you may already benefit from. Chris, as an accountant, how does Sage Business Cloud support you and your clients?
As an accountant, it was just brilliant because from my perspective, I had clients which were on desktop systems because really it just works. And when you're using Sage 50, because you may be a more complex business, when you're going to a cloud-based product, you may not have all the functionality you want, but also it's the experience. But in terms of the Sage Business Cloud sort of connected solution Sage gave me as an accountant, it was just awesome because where I had a client using Sage 50, I had live access to their data. So there was no requirement to be sharing data backups. If a client wanted help, they wanted my advice and guidance, they wanted me to resolve an issue in terms of maybe some customers not actually paying them on time, or maybe they just had an accounting transaction and wanted me to fix it. I was able, as the accountant, to log on from my side via Sage Drive and actually just help them instantly, and which was just brilliant. Therefore, it just made the ability to actually help businesses so much easier. And also, this experience wasn't just between me and my clients. It also enabled businesses to work more collaboratively. Where I had clients who were sort of working in multiple sites, they're able to actually share data in a really simple format, straightforward format, which meant that if you had business owners who were working away and needed instant access to the accounting data, they could do so straight away. So it just worked great.
Great, thanks very much, Chris. Okay, so what we're going to see now is an MTD submission through one of our Sage Business Cloud software. This will be Sage 50 Cloud that we see the demonstration in, so I'm just going to switch across to a video. And I'm just going to make sure that the volume's okay, so I don't deafen out anyone. Now, this might appear quite small on the screen, so there is an option to expand. It might be a case that you want to go to expand view rather than full screen, because depending on your internet connection, the resolution can get a bit grainy. But if you expand it, you should be able to see this demonstration of Sage 50 Cloud and the MTD submission itself. Okay, so we've just seen how straightforward it's going to be to actually submit through Sage Business Cloud software. But there may be a little bit more to preparing for MTD, a little bit more you've got to do to get ready. So we're going to have a look at that now. So, Chris, could you talk us through the process that a business needs to go through to prepare for MTD?
Yes, certainly. Now, really, the first thing to actually understand is, are you as a business going to be impacted? So therefore, are you VAT registered, and is your turnover above £85,000? If the answer to those two questions is yes, you will be affected by MTD. You would need to ensure that your accounting records are being maintained in software which is mandated and working and approved to actually submit VAT returns to HMRC through their new portal. Now, once you understand that you are actually impacted by MTD, then you really need to review actually what processes you got into place, but also how do you maintain your records? Because if you are impacted and you are not using software, you need to understand how you may adopt a new process, or actually how maybe you change a few processes which you're currently using to maintain your accounting records. Because you may have a myriad of different spreadsheets which actually keeps data together, but actually these would be better used, better applied, better facilitated in software which brings it all together. Then also is understanding when should you switch, because we're talking about MTD from the 1st of April next year, and quite scarily, that is what, just under 160 working days until then. And when you consider the fact that as a business you've got a lot on, you've got Christmas coming up, you've got January, and therefore you need to sit down and work about actually how do you change processes, or how do you actually make sure your software is compliant. You need to ensure when you're going to do this. Therefore, it's understanding the best time to switch. And this switching time could be at a VAT quarter date. Alternatively, you might have a year end, which is maybe October, November, or December. And therefore, if you're using manual records at the moment and you have a December year end, it may be sensible to actually plan and switch to using software from the 1st of January. Or alternatively, if you're using software and it's not compliant, think about actually that transition stage. Is there the opportunity to actually switch early before the end of March? Because the whole point is you need time to actually sort of review the actual processes implied, i.e. where's the data coming from? How are people actually capturing the information? Are you maintaining sales invoices in Word or Excel, and therefore you need to think about how you actually transition yourself to a different process? The key thing is when you're reviewing and understanding whether MTD impacts you, it's really important to actually speak to your accountant, because your accountant is the best placed person to actually understand the impact of MTD on you and your business, but also help you actually understand the benefits and also how software can actually make life a little bit easier for you, because in theory, accountants have been working with MTD, thinking about MTD for quite some time. So once you've understood how it's going to impact you, reviewed the certain processes you need to apply for VAT around your business, the key thing has got to be adopt early. Because when you consider there are 5.4 million businesses in the UK, and a vast majority of them will be affected by MTD and VAT in the next sort of 6 to 9 months, it's going to be a busy period. And if you leave it too late, and your accountant is not only busy in terms of dealing with their own internal systems and processes to help their clients, but also they might be impacted by an awful business like yourself, leaving it to the last minute. It's ensuring that you have the right experience and that actually you're doing it efficiently and also in a cost-effective manner. So it's all about understanding, reviewing, adopting early, and at the end of the day, getting support. And that's getting support not only from software providers, where Sage has actually been working for quite some time with HMRC and various institutions in terms of getting this whole MTD journey really right, nailed and slick for its businesses, but also work with your accountant, because your accountant is the best place to get support from, and also they're able to help your hand should you have any problems going forward, and also ensuring you that the first VAT return you do submit is actually submitted in a way which you understand, because the whole point is it's not a painful process, it's just a bit of change management we need to go through, So it's understanding, you're actually getting the really good understanding of what MTD is all about.
That's great. Thanks, Chris. And just to clarify, as your software provider, Sage will be on hand to support you every step of the way, whether you need compliant software, but we're not just about software, we're about solutions to support you on this MTD journey. And we'll get into a little bit more detail about that a bit further through the webinar. So let's talk about the accountant's view. So Chris, accountants have been preparing for MTD for a good while now, and you will have been one of these accountants. Could you just talk us through what you've been doing and what your other accountants have been doing to get ready and get their clients ready?
Yeah, accountants have been aware MTD has been happening, and depending on the portfolio types, either types of clients accountants have, some have had to do more preparation than others. But the key thing accountants have been doing is getting to know their clients better. Because yes, accountants will be doing your year-end accounts and personal tax returns, and therefore they'll have a reasonably good understanding of your affairs. But actually, they need more data, because the only way to actually manage this transition for, let's say, hundreds, if not thousands of clients for some accounting firms, is they need to actually have a plan. And this plan is based upon the needs of certain clients. And therefore, what accountants will be doing in the background is actually asking themselves, reviewing their client lists, and basically confirming, are these businesses VAT registered, or are their clients VAT registered? What's their turnover levels? What sort of software, or in some cases, what software do they not use for actually managing their accounting records? And then what's your VAT quarter periods and what's your year ends? Therefore, they're getting a better picture of their client portfolio, which then means that they're able to identify those clients already on compatible software, i.e. they may already be using Sage 50C or Sage Accounting, and therefore they don't have to really do anything to actually make sure there's in terms of the change. But also, where they've got clients who may be on an old version of Sage 50, they be on a piece of software which isn't compatible, or alternatively, businesses who are using manual Excel records, they know that they are the businesses they need to contact earlier than others, because moving from manual records to a piece of software is an awful lot of change for some businesses, and therefore accountants have not only been understanding which business will be hit first, but also training their staff so they actually understand how to use software, but also how to actually work with businesses to ensure they can actually migrate and change processes in an efficient manner. So therefore, it's all about that getting ready early. And this is what Sage has been doing with accountants for quite some time, providing them training in terms of what MTD is all about, basically getting rid of all the myths of MTD, delivering facts, but also giving them the right support and the right tools to enable them to help their clients, i.e. you as businesses, to move to the MTD, whether that's VAT for next April, or actually understanding the implications of income tax reporting thereafter, i.e. you don't want to be changing onto one new system next year, then being forced to do something else the year after, i.e. do something right, do it once and do it properly in an efficient manner.
That's great, thank you, Chris. So now what we're going to do is a little bit about removing the confusion. So we know from being out and talking to customers that there is confusion around making tax digital, and we get a lot of questions. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through a few of the most common scenarios here, see if we can clear up some of that, and potentially we might answer some of the questions that have been asked already, but as I said, we will look to come back to those at the end if we don't. So, Chris, the first question I'm going to ask you is, what's the soft landing period? There's a soft landing period that's being talked about. What is it?
Right, the soft landing period effectively means MTD is happening next April. However, HMRC recognises that even if you do get software in place for your business, you may not be able to have enough time to actually get those links between those various data silos. For example, you might get a piece of software in place to submit a VAT return, but you might actually already have another system where you may be generating sales invoices, you may be having a spreadsheet or a ledger for recording other transactions, and therefore you won't have time to actually create that digital link that API, that ability to move data from one system to another system seamlessly. So what the soft landing period enables you to do is still have a compliant piece of software to submit your back to, but what you can do is effectively sort of cut and paste from one system to another into that compliant software. And you're able to do that for the next 12 months until April 2020. So really, the soft landing period is really just giving you some businesses a bit of breathing space. Those more complex businesses who have, let's say, different elements, different data silos to actually bring it all together. But at the end of the day, if you are actually using a really good piece of accounting software, you shouldn't really need to be thinking about soft landing period, because that piece of software can do everything from create your sales invoices, OCR or data capture, purchase invoices, do your bank fees, reconcile your bank, basically manage your business in its own right. So therefore, the soft landing period is really for those more complex businesses out there.
That's great, thanks, Chris. And I guess you've kind of talked a little bit about this, but we get this question a lot as well, as around, can I still use spreadsheets?
Yeah, this is a really important question and something which is asked all the time. Because, yes, a spreadsheet is a data record. It's a digital record, isn't it? So therefore, you can capture things like transaction type, is it sales invoice, is it purchase invoice, who the customer was, net value, the VAT value, you can capture an awful lot of information in a spreadsheet. But at the end of the day, what you need to do with that spreadsheet is connect it up to the HMRC portal. You should be able to, if your spreadsheet is a compliant piece of software, press a button within that spreadsheet and submit your back return. So yes, spreadsheets are a digital record, but actually what you need to build as part of that spreadsheet is the ability to link with HMRC and allow HMRC to communicate back to that spreadsheet. Now, therefore, a spreadsheet may not be ideal for actually maintaining your accounting records, but actually spreadsheets are still allowed under MTD, because HMRC recognises that actually VAT is quite complex. It's more than just actually maintaining records in a system. You may have to do complex calculations outside of the accounting system. Therefore, you are able to actually take data out of the accounting system software, do calculations in a spreadsheet, and then pass those details back into the accounting software. So I hope that sort of makes more sense. But in reality, what it does mean is that spreadsheets are not really ideal. It's not really part of the spirit of making tax digital in terms of actually maintaining a digital record.
That's great. Thanks for clearing that up. So the next question we get quite commonly is, why aren't you updating all of your software? And I can see we've had a couple in the questions already around kind of, is my version MTD ready? So just to clear up, Sage are committed to invest in our Sage Business Cloud software, and all of our time and resources focused on making those solutions really deliver for our customers. So if you're on software which is outside of the Sage Business Cloud, as standard, it wouldn't be MTD ready. However, the best option for customers is to make the switch to the Sage Business Cloud. Now, that might be a really simple switch. It might be a case of just speaking to us and we'll move you across and migrate you across to Sage Business Cloud. So if you're a Sage 50 customer, for example, and an older piece of software, we can support you with that migration, move you across, should be relatively straightforward. But we are aware that making this move immediately could be a challenge for some businesses. So we've developed solutions for a number of our products that will enable you to meet your MTD requirements in your current software. Now, our recommendation would be just to get in touch with us and we'll be able to talk about what solutions are available to you. We're trying to make MTD as simple and as straightforward as possible. We'll share the details at the end of this in a contact to call, but it'll be a case of getting in touch. So if you're on the Sage Business Cloud, our online software will just update automatically, and we expect that to happen by autumn. For all of the Sage Business Cloud, and then if you're on our Cloud Connected, they're actually MTD ready now. We've already released that, and we have people participate in that closed pilot period for Sage 50, Sage 200. And then if you're enterprise management, if you're on the larger scale, again, we expect that to come in autumn, that MTD compliance. So the next question, Chris, is a perfect one for you, which is my accountants told me to wait for MTD. I guess what's your advice to that? Because we do hear that quite a bit.
Now, up to mid-July, that may have been the message your accountant was probably saying, because it wasn't until early July that HMRC actually released a notice mandating that MTD was going to happen for VAT. And like most things in life, until you see it in black and white, you're not quite sure whether it's going to happen. So therefore, a lot of accountants have been cautious. They're effectively sort of saying MTD could happen, but actually wait, because because last year they basically delayed matters. What's the point of actually putting a lot of effort in reading your systems, especially when there's been a lot of noise and legislation out of GDPR? It's been a busy year. So in reality, if your accountant right now is saying wait for MTD, you really need to question it, because MTD is happening next April. You need to review your systems. You need to ensure your software is compliant, and there isn't much time left. So yes, if your accountant did say wait, they're probably saying something completely different now. And therefore, before they get busier again with clients chasing them, I would recommend that you make contact with that accountant and say, look, MTD is happening, and I need some advice, need some help. What can you do to make life a bit easier for me?
Perfect. And then just the last one, which I've been told there'll be free software available, HMRC providing free software. Is this true?
HMRC have categorically said they are not providing any software, and they are not aware of any providers actually making available free software. Because as you could probably imagine, in terms of this whole, let's say, connection to HMRC, and the fact that you need to share data, you need to allow data to pass seamlessly between you as a business and HMRC. There's a lot of complex resources and energy and engineering which has gone into that. So there is no free software available. But the thing is, what there is, though, various tiers of software. So depending on how complex you are as a business, there are some great entry-level points in terms of you are a simple business, you better need like a digital cash book, to, let's say, more complex businesses who need more functionality. But like everything, there's choice. And I think that's what Sage is basically providing, is a choice depending on how complex you are a business and what your needs are.
Great. Thanks very much for clearing that up, Chris. Okay, so we'll move on. We'll look at how Sage can support with MTD. So I guess why should I choose Sage? Just Sage is the right solution for your business, and we'll support you through every step of MTD. And we provide a unique software solution that meets your business needs through the Sage Business Cloud. We've touched on this already, but if it's a case that you're on this webinar because you are making a move to software, we are able to talk to you about your business needs, and make sure that you have a solution that's right for you, rather than looking at the one solution that we provide and trying to make sure that that meets your needs, or explaining why that meets your needs. So if you are a new customer, potentially looking at software, again, we'll share the details at the end. Have a conversation with us today, and we'll be able to have a look at what the best solution for you is. Another thing that you'll get from Sage is award-winning support in a format that works for you. So whether it's online guidance, such as the content on our MTD Hub, or in-depth on-site training, will be on hand to make sure you get MTD right. So we deliver award-winning support that tailored to your needs. And to get a view on how we stack up against our competitors, what I recommend is having a look at Trustpilot, the kind of independent sources like that, to get a view, especially around our support. Another thing to call out is that Sage has successfully supported businesses through big compliance changes. So, recently we've been through RTI and auto-enrollment in the payroll space and pensions, and we've got a track record of providing great solutions for our customers and supporting them through those journeys, not just through software, but through that full support, that full business support network, to make sure that this is as easy a change as possible. And the last thing to call out as well is that Sage, we work directly with HMRC to provide the best solutions for you. And what that means is that our business cloud software will always be up to date with the latest developments. So, you know, we talked a little bit before around if you're going to use a bit of software for that soft landing period, you might then have to change and adapt as HMRC, you know, make changes or make improvements. Sage software, Sage Business Cloud will ensure that you're always up to date. Chris, from your view as an accountant, could you just give us your view on you know, why would you have chosen Sage?
Yeah. Now, Tom, you've covered sort of the main points there, but I think from my point of view, in terms of working with Sage for nearly 19 years, is the fact that whenever there have been legislative changes, I could trust Sage to deliver. So whether that was RTI, auto-enrollment for pensions, or even the GDPR, making sure that as an accountant we had the right advice, the right guidance, but also software that just worked and was easy to use. But I think the other thing is the support side, because at the end of the day, as an accountant, I just want to actually just support and work with my businesses and my clients and just get the job done. I don't really want to be messing around in terms of actually the support side and how the software works. I think where Sage is completely different to all the competitors is the great UK telephone support it's got. It's got thousands of people available to actually help businesses with any queries they've got in terms of their software, which basically means that when you've got this huge change where every business in the UK has been affected, the accountant has actually got more resource available to themselves to help businesses, and at the same time they've got the support from Sage to ensure the software is compliant, it's work, it's accessible, but also there's always going to be a greater functionality. The product's always improving, which is just great, because at the end of the day, life is always going to be a challenge, there's going to be changes, but the thing is, Sage has been there, it's done that, and it's basically got the badges of honour in terms of being there all the time in the background.
That's perfect, thank you, Chris. Okay, guys, and now we're just going to have a look at next steps in terms of getting ready, how to be MTD ready with Sage. So, Chris, what's the next step? I know we've talked about that readiness journey, but you know, following this webinar, what is the first thing that the people on the webinar should do today?
Now, we've talked a lot today. We may have identified things or made people aware of stuff that they weren't aware of before. What's a digital record, APIs, the fact that spreadsheets aren't really compliant, and therefore you probably still want to verify a few things. So yes, you need to verify, one, you're back registered, two, are you over the threshold, you will be affected. But the key thing is actually validate some knowledge. And this is where Sage has done an awful lot of work in actually making the available resources for accountants and businesses on MTD, in terms of making MTD really simplified, in terms of knowledge sharing, breaking down the jargon, and having a resource in terms of actually making sense of this legislative change. So really, go to the Sage website, go to the MTD portal, and actually look at the resources available, because it covers everything from in terms of what is compatible software, how do spreadsheets work, but also looking at some of those more complex structures and the fact that we may have those businesses who actually have a group batch scheme in place. We've got tools and resources available to effectively help every type of business.
That's perfect. Yeah, so guys, the MTD hub, so sage.com/UK/MTD is our central resources. Some of you might have already been there and actually signed up for the webinar through there. But basically, that is going to be our site for everything to do with MTD. And this will continually update. So if content isn't on there at the moment, we're adding more and more all the time. And when it comes to income tax and corporation tax and those next steps, again, we'll make sure that this is added into one place. So, you know, favorite that website now. And just keep coming back, because we'll keep on posting more and more and more as we learn more, and make sure that we're providing you guys with everything you need to get ready. So on there at the moment, there's guides, blogs, videos, this webinar you can sign up for. You can find out about our solutions. Yeah, just make sure you bookmark that and just use that resource, because there'll be tons of great information going on there. Now, you can also call us directly on the number displayed, so 800 33 66 33, to discuss your MTD requirements. So if you are unsure if your software is MTD ready or not, just have a chat with us, and we'll make sure we do the necessary checks, and then we can have a conversation with you about what the best solution is for you. Now, also additional support from Sage. So we talked a little bit around how Sage supports you, and we've got some services that we've just launched and actually started to deliver already. And no matter where you are in your preparations for MTD, Sage can support you. So we've got some live online training. So this is an in-depth view on MTD. Goes into a lot more detail around what MTD and what it means specifically to your business, helps you prepare your software for MTD, the MTD processing tools to help you, so it'll make sure that they take you through that readiness journey, and you'll have a full live QA on there as well with one of our Making Tax Digital experts. And then you'll also, we have hands-on help, so this is one-to-one bespoke for your business. Again, this will talk about what is MTD, but it'll be on a one-to-one basis, so it'll be what does MTD mean for your business based on your situation. It'll help you understand the entire process from sign up to submission. We'll do a VAT health check. So if you've not been using the software for VAT in the past, if you've been using it for certain aspects of VAT, but maybe it hasn't calculated it correctly, so you've done some manual stuff, we'll do a health check and get you in the right place to start moving. We'll give you hands-on training on your software to make the VAT process quick and easy. And again, it's based on your business, so this is one-on-one with an expert. There's more of information on that. Call the number that we'll share again at the end if you want to talk to us about one of those services, or go to the MTD Hub. Now, we did have a one-on-one session yesterday, our first one, and it was a great example of how MTD is a positive outcome for the customer, because the customer we had on that one-to-one session actually had been using Sage for VAT, but a couple of the boxes didn't look correct, so they then started doing it manually because they didn't understand why that was the case. They spent time pulling information to spreadsheets, doing manual calculations, and then going on to the gateway and submitting. Through the one-to-one we learned that they had set up their VAT incorrectly, and they were using some incorrect codes when they were logging certain types of transactions. We managed to understand what had happened, rectify that problem, and now the VAT return's calculating, and the guys can calculate through the software and just submit quickly and easily. So we've saved them time, and I guess this is the part where you really see the benefit of MTD for the customer. So it is a change, it might be a pain, but again, it might streamline your VAT process and save you time and save you money in the long run. So I can see we've already had questions in the box, and I know we're running a little bit over, but we'll try and answer a couple if we can. So the first one, Chris, will the time period for submitting VAT returns remain the same?
Yeah, there's been no changes in terms of the time period. So therefore, once you get to your quarter date and you're submitting electronically, there's basically still got that sort of 7-day window. And also, if you're signed up for a direct debit, it's a case of ensuring the cash is actually leaving the bank within that sort of period of time as well. So there's been no changes in terms of the period of submission at all. So everything's the same. It's just the fact that you just need to submit returns through a piece of software.
Great. And we've been asked a question about partial exemptions. So we've had this question a lot. So the question was, I'm on partial exemption, and I've got 3 Sage companies that don't currently use the VAT module because of that reason. Guys, just to be clear, for partial exemption, if it's one company, you can't do that within the software, and you will be able to do that for MTD through the adjustments process in the software. That will maintain compliance. But in this scenario, it seems that they submit as a group. So at the moment, we're looking at the functionality for group VAT, and we are looking at technical specifications and developing something. So the answer to that question is, for people on group VAT, we will be supporting you. We are developing something at the moment. We're looking at how this will work. So watch this space. We'll have some more information about that pretty soon. But don't worry, we'll have you back. If you group VAT, if you're partial exemption, we'll be looking at solutions that really support you and how we make that work with the software.
And Tom, if I may add, just with the partial rate scheme, is the fact that this is where spreadsheets are allowed, because HMRC recognise that businesses can be complex. So the whole point is, if you are a charity, or you're a business where you are actually applying some different types of tax scheme, partial rates, you may be a second-hand car dealer, whatever it is, there's lots of schemes out there. As long as your accounting records are maintained in compatible software, which enables you to submit via that software, great. Now, in terms of the calculations, there is nothing stopping you from actually dropping data out of that compatible software, doing those complex calculations, and then actually apply an aide-memoire and adjustments to the VAT return within the software. So that's where spreadsheets are allowable, because they know HMRC recognise the fact you have to do complex calculations. Now clearly, on some businesses, you could probably do the pass rate calculation within the software, because if you're using the right tax codes, null codes, etc., the software will do it for you. But the thing is, you are allowed to take data out, do calculations, and put it back into the software.
Great, thanks for that, Chris. And there's a good question here, I guess around spreadsheets, and this is a little bit around bridging software. So the question is around spreadsheets, and can you link, is someone going to release something that links spreadsheets to HMRC? So could you just give us a kind of overview of what bridging software actually is, Chris, and I guess why would you use bridging software? What's the benefit of using, you know, actual accounting software over that? Yeah, okay. Now, at the moment, there hasn't been actually, though bridging software has been said it will be developed, nothing's actually come across which actually fixes everyone's problems. Because at the end of the day, what the bridging software needs to do is actually make the spreadsheets even cleverer than what they are. They need to be able to connect to HMRC. And the problem is that the businesses who are using spreadsheets currently to actually maintain their VAT records, they're probably maintaining those spreadsheets in a whole myriad of different ways. And also these businesses, some are invoice accounting, some are cash accounting. Their spreadsheet might have a cash book, it might have a sales ledger. Therefore, you need to think about, actually, if someone's going to use bridging software, and what physically is going to happen is a business is going to use their current Excel spreadsheet, and they'll end up copying and pasting data from their spreadsheet into the bridging software spreadsheet, which effectively means you've now got two digital records potentially, which is actually going to create a headache for the accountant, because the accountant now, part of, let's say, validation exercise, i.e. ensure that you're being compliant, they have to look at multiple records to produce your year-end accounts. So this is the whole point, is actually get the data into a system correct once, first time round. And what it means is that if you're using compatible software, it means that actually the accountant is getting data in a more accurate fashion. So that's the sort of benefits of the software, is actually reducing errors and also verifying the quality of the information in the first place. So therefore, the bridging software is, if HMRC said that something will be available, but at the moment nothing's actually been released which actually creates that digital record yet. And also, it's going to cost money. Nothing comes for free. Therefore, why have something and then have to migrate that data into something else? And when income tax reporting comes into play in a couple of years' time, you'll be need to move to a piece of software, because the bridging software will not enable you to do a P&L or a profit and loss account. Great, thanks for clearing that up. Guys, we've kind of run over by about 10 minutes, so thank you very much for staying with us through that. The last thing that I will answer is that there's a question around, will this be available? We are recording the session, so what we'll do is we'll look to make it available on the MTD Hub, so the website, as soon as we can, for anyone whose colleagues want to attend or they want to share this. The last thing I'll say is thank you very much to everyone who attended. I hope you learned a bit more about MTD and you have an idea of what you need to do to get ready. Use our MTD Hub. Give us a call if you need support. We're here to help you with this change. The one thing we would say is start now. The last thing I'll say is thank you very much to Chris for his input to the session today.
Yeah, thank you. Hope you found it all very useful.
Okay, thank you everyone.